Today I'm going to be taking you through how I built this rig for a recent video that I did for Adidas. If you would like to build your rig this way as well, the links will be in the description of the video. The first thing that I want to talk about is the camera cage. For me, I went with the small rig full camera cage for the Sony a7IV. There are a number of reasons why I chose this rig. I like the fact that it has a one piece that fully protects the camera, all the multiple mounting points, the 1/4 20 threaded holes. I like the fact that it comes with this Allen key that you can use to screw and unscrew something. It's just so handy to have. I also like the fact that it has this hinged arm at the battery door that fits the camera curve and just helps with the grip experience while using the camera. Perhaps maybe the best thing that I really like about this thing is the quick release plate on the bottom for quick switching between tripod and if you're using the DJI RS2. I mostly use a Manfrotto baseplate. For me, I like to use the Nicey-Rig QR Manfrotto plate kit. It is integrated with Manfrotto baseplate and a 15mm dual rod clamp. It also has the 1/4 20 and 3/8 16 thread holes on the bottom. It also has a quick release system that works with the standard lock by the thumb screw and by pushing that. This is probably one of the most clutch purchase that I've had is this multi-tool. It's a bike multi-tool kit, and I'm not even sure that I remember what the brand is, but the link will be in the description of this video as well. One of the reasons why I recommend that you get a tool like this is because when you are rigging out your camera and you have a lot of this screws and quarter things to make sure that they're tight, you don't want to rely only on your squeeze or hand power. You need something to ensure that these things will not fall out of place. And if you're building a rig that has some sort of weight or like girth to it, you really want to make sure that you can rely on the integrity of the rig that you've built. And that's where this tool comes in. It just makes sure that yes, nothing is going to fall out once you start building on top of the foundation that you've already made. In terms of the glass, I went with my trusted Sigma 24-70 f2.8 lens. I consider this to be the best all-round lens in terms of the price and the value. It's less expensive than the Sony's, but gives you the same optical quality in my opinion, and it just gives me a range that I can work with that allows me to capture whether it's wide shots, or if I want to go tight, I can go into the 70s, even going tighter using the Super 35 mode on the a7IV. So this lens just really packs everything for what I want to use it for, and that was a requirement for this video that we're going to make for Adidas. Is we needed a range of focal length that we could use to capture everything. The next thing that has come in clutch for me are the small rig 15mm carbon fiber rods. Look, I've used this thing. Look at that. It is so beat up. I've used them, and I like the fact I chose this ones over the others because I like how they are so light. They don't feel like I'm packing any extra weight, but they still just get the job done. And I really have put them through a lot and they still withstand it. So definitely recommend this. My one piece of advice though with rods are you need to get them in a position where they don't affect the weight distribution of your rig. So for me, I like to put more of the rods at the back of the camera because that's where the battery, for example, which is relatively heavy, would go to, and I just leave a little bit of space in front so that I can use that primarily for the lens support or to hold down a matte box or something like that. I'm very particular about making sure that they are on the same length, both of them. I just really like to do that. The next thing here is this SmallRig 15mm LWS universal lens support. For me, I just like them because they're designed to remove the stress from the camera's lens mount, which is something that is so important to me because wait, this lens is heavy. The Sigma 20-40-70 lens is quite heavy. So I just like to put this there to take away that extra weight stress from the mount. And the thing about this one that I like over the others is that it offers a vertical adjustment so that you can move it up and down to meet the proximity of the lens, which is just really something that I like. I like the Y shape as well. It does maybe need a couple fiddling around to get it to where you want it to be, but I really like it and I think it works. All the music you've heard in this video so far have come from Audio, Artleast, and Upbeat. Links in the description of this video. Sign up now and get great music for your video content as well. One thing to remember is power. How do you plan to power your rig? For me, since I'm going to be using a V-mount battery, it was necessary that I swapped out the actual Sony NPF batteries with this dummy battery. So I take that and I plug that into the 8-volt connection on my V-mount, and that runs power through the camera. I don't have to worry about my camera overheating because that will not happen if you are using this V-mount, if you're using this dummy battery. The next piece on this list is the UU-Rig RE Universal Camera Top Handle. Now, I'm not too familiar with the marketing of UU-Rig, but they're not as famous as, let's say, SmallRig or Tilto or the other ones. But I like the fact that this one has a universal code shoe that can be directly mounted to the camera cage. And for me, that is important because once again, the integrity of my rig is built on knowing that everything is secured. So as soon as I mount that on there, I'm able to go in with my toolkit and just make sure that everything is tight and that it fits snugly. The next thing on the list is this V-mount battery plate from SmallRig that also comes with a 15mm rod clamp built right into it, which is just great. I like the fact that it has a stopper that prevents the battery from twisting when you attach the V-mount battery to it. It also comes with the 15mm rod clamp to help you mount this straight to the plate that you are using on your camera, which is just really nice. I really don't use them, but it also has a lot of this Q20 mounting options that if you wanted to use for something else, you could potentially use that there. But yeah, I think it's a great tool to have. I think that, yeah, while you are mounting this though, one of the things that I advise is to not push it all the way in. First of all, mount and check that everything fits, nothing is falling apart, and then you go on ahead and you put the battery on there, which in my case, I am using the SmallRig VB155 battery. Now, I don't own this personally. This belongs to Tony, my creative partner, but this battery is the truth. This got me through a whole day of filming and everything. Has a couple ports on it. You have the D tap that you can use to power your camera. It also has this mounting hose at the back of it. It has the power button on this side, and at the top of it you get, I believe, 4 ports. Yeah, a USB-C, a USB type A, an 8-volt and a 12-volt to go in. So I put that on the back of the camera, and then once I'm sure that it is snug, now I start to move that plate in, because what I'm trying to do here is to distribute the weight evenly. I don't want it to be too front heavy, so pushing the plate in at this point helps me gauge where the battery should be relative to where the camera should be and relative to where everything else will be on the camera. If you've enjoyed the video thus far, please remember to subscribe. It really does help the channel, and to know that you guys want to see content like this. Subscribe, please. So another thing that you will find in my rig build is this small rig mini cold shoe, and I use this primarily to attach my monitoring option, which I will get to in the next segment, to the camera. So in this case, I go for this one because it has 138-degree pan and tilt adjustment, which might not be necessary for everyone, especially if you have a very heavy monitoring option mounted on there. So for me, it works. I'm able to tilt my monitor and I'm able to pan as well, but I can just, make it tighter or loosen it up if it comes to that. And which leads me to the next thing, which is my monitoring option. This for me is the best out there. If you're looking for the best bang for your money, the small HD Indy 7 is one of the most premium monitoring options out there. Now, there are a couple of reasons why I like this one. I think one is the fact that I can clearly see. The 5-inch has become too small for me. I wear glasses, I have astigmatism, I'm myopic, so the 7-inch allows me to properly see my composition, allows me to frame my subjects well. But honestly, I love the fact that the focus peaking on this monitor is the best that I've seen. And I've seen a lot, but I just find the focusing option here ridiculously good, and it works excellently for me. There are other things that this monitor offers, but like I have a full video about this on my channel, and you can go watch that. But at this stage, it's starting to look riggy. We're starting to look like Rig Daddy. So I'm just making sure that this thing is tight. So at the time, I thought I would mount this at the top of the camera, but I realized that it might not necessarily work for distributing the weight of that. I was going to use the ZT NPF dummy battery to be able to power this small HD. So usually I plug this in, and then this goes right into the D tab on the side of my small rig battery. So while I was putting this together, I started getting very unimpressed by my cable management. Don't crucify me. And then Tony came through and offered a better solution. But before that, I had to do a balance test. I wanted to make sure this was not too front heavy or it wasn't too back heavy, and it did well, which once again is why you need good placement on the rig. Those are things that you need to check for. So I decided to remove the monitor from the top of the rig and put that in front of the top handle. But before that, I had to put on the mat box, and this right here is the small rig mini mat box. This box has a carbon fiber box and a top flag that is really compatible with the size that I want. I like the fact that you can also use square and drop-in filters into this if that's your thing, but also it has this ring that you can attach to the front of your lens, and once you install the mat box, you can still install or attach variable enders, circular variable enders to the front of that, because there's a thread just right in front of the mat box, which for me I just really like. I prefer circular variable enders as opposed to using the square 4x4 ones. And that's just because it made sense for the type of shoots that we were going to be doing. It was a lot of movement. It was a lot of going in and out of places. The light was going to be changing, and we didn't have time to start changing 4x4 filters. So being able to use just a circular VND that I could just, rotate to block or let more light in was just really nice to have. And now I moved the monitor to the front of the rig, so that now I have a more even distribution of the weight, and just less messy cable management. Once again, put that in place with the tool to make sure that it wasn't going to fall off or it wasn't going to keep sliding here and there. And once that was done, just a quick balance test. Got to check that balance again now. Balance is key for your rig. The next thing that comes up on my rig is transmission, wireless transmission. And I use the Axon CineView Nano with this Apexlab D-Tap. Tony gave me this. He uses it on his Red Komodo, and because of that, I didn't need to use the D-Tap, the NPF D-Tap that was there before, because by running this Apexlab D-Tap, I'm able to connect the Axon straight to the back of the small HD. It also runs into the V-mount battery, which means that I can supply power to the small HD using that Apexlab D-Tap, and I can supply power out from that to the Axon using the same cable. So, or at least I think so. Yeah. The next one on the list is the OG, the Rode Video Micro. Now, audio was not particularly something that we had to pay attention to for this shoot. I usually pay a lot of attention to audio. Like, I love audio, but I just needed scratch audio that the editor was going to be able to work with, and the director just requested that as well. So there wasn't a need to set up like a really, really great microphone. Just something that was good enough would be able to do that. And I think the Rode Video Micro is good enough. Even in 2024, people, it's one of the first mics that really, really revolutionized using shotgun mics on mirrorless cameras. So once that is done, just take the port and plug it into your battery. Now, you have to be careful. Make sure that you are plugging your dummy battery of the one going into the camera, make sure you're plugging it into 8 volts. If not, you will fry your camera. I'm talking barbecue here, people. Barbecue, grilled barbecue. You don't want that. And with that being said, just once again, rotate the camera around, check that nothing is coming out, everything is in place. And lastly, I now connect the HDMIs that's going to be going from the camera into whatever transmission or monitoring system that I'm using. And here I'm just using the regular 1-inch HDMI to HDMI that is going straight from the camera that's going into the small HD, because that's where I will be sending the main feed into. So now we have power to the monitor, we have power to the camera. The last one would be power to the transmission, the Axon CineView Nano. And I'm just doing this using a regular Type-C to USB cable, and that's just going to be plugging into the power on the 5-volt power on the Axon CineView. I'm not sure if it's 5 volts or whatever, but it works. And with that, once I turn it on, I can connect a couple devices to that, and then I just run an HDMI out from the small HD, and that goes into the HDMI in on the Axon. Now, one of the things that I later found out is you cannot send a 4K signal from the small HD into the Axon. So you need to change it from your camera. Make sure that you're sending out a 1080p signal. If you do send out a 4K signal, the image is going to be cropped in. That happened, and it was not funny. But yeah, for the most part, everything should be ready to go. I believe that this was the final form of what I ran with on that shoot. I did attach the Insta360 to the side of it just to capture BTS for me specifically, and that's pretty much it. That's everything. Maybe in some cases we also used the DJI mic for some interviews, but the bulk of the visual style was all of this. And yeah, that's how I've been able to build this rig. Once again, remember that all the links to everything in this video will be in the description. You can purchase those things if you also want to build your rig out like this, or just to give you some inspiration about what you can do with your camera. So if you're into something like that, enjoy that. I don't think I will be doing any other type of rig build. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe and like the video. I'll see you on the next one.
谢谢。
好，谢谢。
是的。
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Brother.